Hey, you two, it's your boy Domination. This is back in the basic. Chuck the deuces, how we do it, Texas, baby. Again, the all place, 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 oh, please go get it. Oh, please go get it. Oh, good place go. Oh, good place go get it. Oh, good place. Oh, good place go get it. It's right back in the basic. Chuck the deuces, how we do it, Texas, baby. Man, I Douglas back. You know what it is. Know it is. Know it is. Know it is. Know it is. Real men rise up. Fake men rise down. Real women rise up. Fake women rise down. Brought to our preacher, preacher. And today's topic we're going to talk about is, and I want to talk about that, man, for my brothers and sisters out there. Everybody, it is not just my only people I'm talking about, because everybody's my brothers and sisters. Everybody, not everybody, but quite a few people. Quite a few people, my brothers and sisters, but not everybody, my brothers and sisters, though. But I really want to talk about this. I got to do this because for years we heard certain phrases of terms of certain of the meaning of black, certain term of the meaning of white. From black, you hear the term that black versus racist, they flipping versus racist or whites mean to earn that white guilt, or you white yourself, you got white blood in you. That's what they'll say. So that's what verse racist means. You know, to earn that white guilt, mean their ancestors, they know what their ancestors done, but they ain't had nothing to do with their ancestors benefit or not, but it does. Even though it wasn't, but it does. That's what it means. And just like of you phrases of white, like they say, white privilege, white supremacy, and even when it comes to feel superior and blacks inferior, but everybody can feel superior and feel inferior. Sometimes blacks feel superior and whites inferior. It goes both ways. Both have been slaves, white and black. But BET and MTV and everybody else never talk about this. Now, I don't know how true it is, but it's got to be, because why are they putting this out? And I'm going to show you a video. It was a white guy got beat up all because they try to punish him for what whites did to blacks. And that's messed up. Especially, you need to get at the bad whites who done that, but not the good whites. They ain't had nothing to do with it, because they've been slaving by their own people and blacks and everybody else. Just like they've been, I don't like how they punish good black people who ain't done nothing wrong. Get the bad black people to cause that, to be verse racist and black race, if it were. But I got to show you, if you think we're the only ones been enslavement out of our own people and anyone, we ain't the only ones. Whites have been through this as well. Asians, Latinos, and everybody else. And I'm gonna show you that one thing they ain't gonna never tell you in the media and schools, everybody, because there were white slavery. It was, and then when it came black slavery, I don't know who came first, but here's the video right here. It explains what white slavery, what it's all about, just like black slavery. So we ain't the only ones, because who else gonna be slave? We think we the only one been slave, but we're not the only ones. And I show you we're not the only ones. You would think, I always think we're the only ones, but because other people been slaving too. And I'm going to tell you who the exact certain parts of whites have been slave. And they'll show you what color they were. And here's the video right here. All right? Here's the video.
While Europe was busily engaged in internal strife in the early 17th century, bands of seasoned pirates from North Africa used this opportunity to set sail under an Islamic flag on a long voyage into the North Atlantic. Sailing past the coasts of Western Europe, they headed for the islands of Ireland, the Faroese, and Iceland.
This is the extreme point reached in the Islamic expansion into Europe.
Attacking and pillaging unsuspecting communities, the raiders made off with anything of value, as well as taking prisoners whom they sold into slavery and demanded high ransom for their release. Many of the captives were converted to Islam, but a fair number would in time regain their freedom and manage after great hardship to find their way back to their homelands.
This is called the maritime jihad. This is a jihad, and the jihad is a holy war for the faith.
This is a highly political story, but it is also a personal one, of individuals whose names we know. We have no pictures of most of them, so we must borrow their faces from the rich gallery of 17th century portraits. We also relate in word and image the story of the many local tales relating these remarkable events. This is very much a living history in the regions where they happened. At the same time, this is the untold story of an Islamic jihad deep into Europe, of Europeans captured and sold into slavery in Islamic Africa, at a time when Europeans were beginning to sell Africans as slaves to America. We listen to the accounts of local people, and we dig deep in the archives so as to unravel an incredible but true story which has never fully been told before. On the 20th day of the month of June 1627, there came sailing from the south to the tiny settlement known as Grindavik in Iceland, one Turkish warship. These are the opening words of a contemporary report. The raiders concealed their identity, pretending to be German whalers blown off course, and managed to take prisoner 8 men who had rowed out to their vessel. They then captured the Danish merchant vessel in the harbor, all without a single shot being fired. The raiders then made their way to a neighboring farm, where they captured the entire family. Then a neighboring relative appeared and attempted to come to their aid. His name was Hjalmar, and he is the celebrated hero in this, our story. With the booty from Grindavik, the raiders now headed for Bessastaðir, the seat of power in Iceland. Today it is the presidential residence, but in 1627 it was home to the Danish Governor-General. At this time, Iceland was ruled by the Danish king. The country's official emblem was an unusual but yet appropriate combination of a fish and a royal crown. At Bessastaðir there was practically no defense, except for a light cannon or two, so the governor ordered nearby merchant ships to immediately join him. He then improvised a defense wall made of stockfish and covered with turf. He and his party rode out in saddles with brass inlays, pikes in their hands. As the sun reflected off their saddles, they had the appearance of a whole army of defenders. Cannon fire was exchanged, and during the clash, one of the raiding ships ran aground on a skerry. Some Icelanders now considered this to be an opportune moment to attack the raiders and free the captives. Though the captives were not freed. But the situation did force the Turks to turn tail and disappear. For the moment, all was quiet in Iceland. However, no one knew whether this was merely a brief intermission before the next onslaught. On Thursday, July the 6th, people at a trading station on the eastern coast of Iceland were totally unsuspecting when early in the morning a mysterious ship dropped anchor in the bay. Upon coming ashore, its crew captured the local Danish traders who were still fast asleep. Next, they hunted down the local population. The raiders split up, with one group heading for a large nearby farm where they took 20 people prisoner. Another group went to the vicarage, capturing the minister, his wife, and 9 others. They herded these people all the way to the inner end of the fjord, where they left those who could go no further, armed, hand and foot, and drove the others out along the northern shore. Several bands of raiders moved from one farm to another, taking people from each in turn, householders, children, farmhands, and beggars, and killing the old and infirm. The raiders were called Turks at the time and have... Throughout Europe in former centuries, the term Turk sometimes signified warriors of the Turkish Empire, but most often it implied any follower of Islam.
Ja, in der frühen Neuzeit hat man natürlich keineswegs nationale Kategorien, wie sie dann im 19. Jahrhundert oder im 20. Jahrhundert auftauchen, mit so einem Wort wie Türken verbunden, sondern Türke war alles, was aus dem Orient kam.
As time passed, Icelanders would begin to view the story of the raid in a new and heroic light, giving it a wholly new interpretation.
Sagan segir að Tyrkir hafi náð smala frá Snæfellsnesi, sem hér nokkrum kilometri við Nöbbæ, og færðu hann í bönd. Og þetta hefur verið í góðu veðri vafalaust því að hann síðan leggjaði sig til hvíldar og sofna. En ekki hafa þeir nú gengið betur frá smalanum með það að honum tekst að losa böndin. Og hann hefur verið kjarkmaður góður því að hann ekkert að leggja á flótta strax. Hann sér í hendi sér að nú þurfa hann að gera Tyrkjum skráveifu og hann byrjar á því að míga í púðrið í byssuna þeirra. Síðan tekur hann á rás inn í Snæhvam. Snæhvamsmenn fari í Tverhamar og safna liði. Þá voru hetjur á hverjum bæ og héldu hér út í Hrútasúlnagili og þá eru Tyrkir að vakna af miðdegishlúðum. Grípa þegar til byssanna en þær virka ekki. Og þá hófu þeir áhlaup á mennina, þeir Tverhamarsmenn og Snæhvamsmenn, og þeir börðu þá hérna niður gilið og hérna niður fyrir og niður í sjó. Og einhverju munu hafa spýtt rauðu á þeirri leið. Og síðan áfram sem leið liggur út af klöppinni sem gengur lengst hér út í sjóinn, svona í miðjunni. Og þar lömdu þeir þá síðustu niður og drektu þar út af klöppinni. Og hún heitir síðan Tyrkjaklöpp.
Nevertheless, fear and suspicion of the Turk would linger on right up to the 20th century. But in 1627, the children of the East Fjords with their parents were taken hostage on board pirates' vessels. Nor had their captors, multinational followers of Allah, had their fill. Rather, they now headed for still richer pickings, the Westman Islands off the south coast of Iceland. Small, isolated islands had always been a favorite target of pirates. The landscape of the Westman Islands harbors many memories. The dramatic and violent events experienced by the island's small community, those fateful summer days in 1627, remain a vivid memory. Each spring, local children make a study trip of the main island to learn the details of the raid and recreate them in pictures. Here, overlooking the traditional sea entrance into the harbor of the Westman Islands, the Danes built a small battlement, complete with cannon. Today, children scamper about while they learn of their forefathers' preparations and fears during the summer of 1627. News of the raids had already reached the island community. The cannon and the fort were put at the ready. People prepared to flee, some of them to caves in the cliffs used to dry and store fish. No suspicious vessels were sighted on the horizon, and peace soon returned to the islands. But was it merely a calm before the storm? Later, people with second sight would claim to have seen portents of what was to come. July the 16th, 3 ships were sighted east of the islands, making but slow progress in the calm weather. Were they perhaps Danish, sent to defend them? The ships, however, were not Danish. Their crews avoided sailing within range of the cannons, but instead made land at an unexpected spot no one had ever attempted before. The children survey another side from the story. It was here the attackers poured onto the shore on the evening of July the 16th, 1627. The raiders split up into 3 groups, charging forward with war cries and red banners flying. The largest group headed straight for the so-called Danish houses, the center of the settlement. Here, they held their prisoners. The local church was pillaged and desecrated. On Thursday, July the 19th, 1627, the soldiers hauled anchor and set sail, firing their cannons in celebration of a successful raid. The local church stood in flames, as did the Danish merchant houses, where the old and infirm were burned alive. In all, about 400 prisoners were taken captive, which accounted for almost 1% of the Icelandic population. Two years pass, and peace has returned to the North Atlantic. Then, in 1629, the raiders make the long voyage northwards yet again, this time in order to attack another island of the Danish monarchy, the Faroe Islands.
You hear that? You hear that, people? We ain't the only ones been enslaved as African American community. There was white slavery. It was white slavery, then it was black slavery. See, they never talk. I'm gonna tell you, it's so sad because, and I'm showing this, especially my black brothers and sisters, but really, it's white brothers and sisters need to know about this. It happens in that time, but they always talk about black slavery. But you better start talking about white slavery. After you talk about black slavery, it was white slavery. I know people going to ask, what's the difference between white slavery and black slavery? From black slavery, it was about segregation, Jim Crow, the Willie Lynch syndrome. It was about they can't go certain other business, certain other places, drinking a certain water fountain as white brothers and sisters counterpart. They can't go to certain school district, or they can't have the same rights of vote or same rights of beliefs and the same right believe the system as white brothers and sisters. That's black slavery against blacks. My folks, white slavery, it was changes, format certain laws and certain benefits, certain of value of real no guiltiness, no remorse. That's white slavery. That's the difference. If people need to start talking about this, if people could understand what racism is really all about. They never talk about it. They need to stop lying to these kids. I don't got time showing the video, but I will tell you this. It was a white kid got beat up for no reason by a couple of brothers and sisters. And they never talk about this though, because I feel like it's not right to beat up any people of color, black or white. It ain't no right. You need to beat up others who cause you that grief. It causes you a sentiment of pain. If don't take it out the ones that seek innocent, they ain't done nothing wrong. You need to get those who were responsible. And that goes for black and white. I feel bad for that white kid that got beat up because they make blacks feel like they verse racist or got something against whites. I don't got nothing against any whites or brothers and sisters. And I know there's black brothers and sisters. There's white brothers and sisters that ain't got nothing against blacks. It's sad. Nobody wants to talk about it. You got blacks who have nothing against whites, and whites ain't got nothing against black. Everybody is in prejudice, and they own certain meaning of certain phrase or certain other people. Attack another group of people who engage in it, but ones who ain't engaging and ain't not engaging. I don't engage in. I'm against slavery. Period. And there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And I don't know if that's true. They said in South Africa there's a lot of killing going on in white labor farmers. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard, and that's messed up. Just like it's messed up what happened to Trayvon Martin. They shot that boy for nothing about George Zimmerman. And it's messed up. I hope get justice, but I got a feeling we ain't gonna get the better Zoe, and it's gonna be some innocent people getting hurt. Cause I want to show that black brothers and sisters, we ain't the only one been enslaved. Everybody been enslaved. Everybody. Even Christopher Alley was fighting against certain fallen American soldier, and he had Native American in him and black. His father was captured in Africa by those are the people from whites and Native Americans. See, nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about it. Because if we got to talk about one group of people, we better start talking about it all. Because we ain't the only one been enslaved. Everybody been enslaved. Because slavery means freedom, and freedom means slavery. And that's all I'm going to say about that, all right? All right, and it's your boy Domination. This is Back of the Basic. Chuck of the Deuce is how we do Texas, baby. Until next time, all right? All right, peace, and I'm out.